One night between 2022 and 2023, I was walking in a lonely road where I spotted a lady in bad shape, as if she had a fight. I decided not to approach since she was a female and it was the middle of the night at an empty highway, so I kept my pace and distance from that person. She was ahead of me. 5 minutes passed and then she turned and began to approach me. She had a faint smile on her face, trying to obviously look peaceful and not a threat. She asked me if I could help her. I asked her what's wrong. She told me she had a fight with her parents after how she couldn't handle her dad sexually harassing her, and that nobody is believing her. They all called her crazy. She sought the help of police. The police mocked her instead and told her he probably molested her because she was in her underwear. That's what the police said. Then she left her sleeve up, shows me her left hand. Self-harm. And then she started to tear a little bit. Out of empathy, I wanted to hug her, but for some reason she got scared, backed aggressively, and said get away from me. She also had this almost traumatic expression on her face, and then she proceeded to walk away. I didn't know what to say, so I just stayed silent, watched her walk in the distance. Moments later, a white van passed by me and stops next to the girl. The door opens and 4 hands proceed to grab her violently. She starts screaming. I froze as I watched abduction for the first time, and unfortunately, not being able to stop it. It still haunts me to this day. Hi, my name is Dermushi and today I want to talk to you about my abuse. Physical, mental, and the odd sexual abuse. Odd, given I'm in a Muslim country. Not the beer, wine, pork, westernized countries that promote rape and degrade the value of women. Or so they say. I'm 21 years old, born in 2005 to strict Muslim family. And the reason I mention the religion is because what else impacts the life of a child other than the religion of their parents? Of course, my family is close-minded and they gave me strict rules to not interact with the opposite gender. Why? I never asked. A child after all. What do you want me to do other than fully trust the ones who birthed me? I entered a boys' only school until I was 11. Yes, you heard it right. Until I fucking reached puberty age. Zero contact with girls. And then when they decided to put me in a mixed school for the first time, they put me in a Christian school. As if they were trying to deliberately ruin my life. Simple as. Of course, I was a Muslim back then, and this caused racism, of course. Not the type of racism that you would expect, no. They just distanced themselves from me, which is equally bad, really. I was also awkward and not really the most confident since I already got physically beaten by my dad, humiliated with shouts and insults by both my parents, and bullied a lot at home and school. If you lost track of how old I was 11. One thing I forgot to mention is how little they fed me, essentially making me think food was not important since they never really encouraged it. All I would eat in primary school was one small sandwich and an apple juice, which is alright I guess, but food stopped entirely once I entered middle school, aka once I reached 11 and once I entered that mixed school. The school name was Sahara International School, and if you look at their website, yes, they have a website, you'll realize it's not a school that's made for poor peasants like me. So everyone in my motherfucking class was rich, or at least flexed their meal when it was lunchtime, flexed the amount of food they buy in trips as well. I remember one of the trips I went to, I really avoided trips because my parents won't give me money. But yeah, it was a football trip. We got to a stadium, play some football, recharge by eating, go back to school, and then back home. Now I want you to focus on the recharge by eating. The food cost was not paid by school, which I find disgusting, not because more money will be paid, the money will be paid anyways. I just hated the discrimination it made. Instead of the school officially bringing the same amount of food to everyone handled that individually. At that point, it wasn't recharging time, it was flexing time. Who will buy the most food? Who will take a photo of the most amount of food and put it in their story on Instagram? And amidst everyone flexing, eating, there was one little boy standing far away from the crowd in the most awkward way possible. No food or money, just hunger and thirst. That would be me. It was one of the most embarrassing situations in my life, and it got even worse because one of the students offered me a slice of pizza. He wasn't even my friend, and it was clear he didn't really want to help me. It was all humiliation. When they asked me why I don't have money to buy food, I simply told them, I'm saving money to buy a better PC. How sad. Around that time, my parents were really serious on how much I should study, and when school was ongoing, they would remove all the fucking stuff I loved. Computer, phone, PlayStation, like everything. And as an ADHD person, that really fucked me, and it was one of the main reasons I stopped studying, because I thought, if there is no reward after a session of studying, then what is the fucking point of studying, you know? And around that time, the physical beating became worse, the shouting became worse, and I just couldn't keep on studying with such life, a life of abuse and torment. So slowly my performance at school dropped, and apparently Dad realized he was wasting money. So instead of figuring out what is wrong with his son that all of a sudden can't study, he just proceeds to enroll me in a cheaper school. I mean, what do you really expect is gonna happen? I'm gonna all of a sudden get the highest grades in a cheaper school with much more bullying and worse teachers? It's as if they really, really wanted to hurt me. Time passes, and I slowly lose interest in going to school due to the bullying. Surprise! And the bullying this time was way worse. There was one fight where my neck was bruised, my knee was hurt, my shirt was torn, and my glasses were broke. Teachers didn't do anything about it, and I didn't bother to tell my parents because they're not gonna do shit about it either. So I decided to share this with my virtual girlfriend at the time, Lily. Lily and I met in 2021 on Instagram. We never really met in real life. She was from Germany. And when I say met, it was a really meeting rather than me being a creep sending random DMs to hot girls on Instagram. That's really the truth of it. I won't hide it. I was a loser. I think it's healthier to embrace and being true to yourself. So, I sent a DM to Lily and she replied to me around 3 months later. Over the next year, I'll get unhealthily attached to Lily, not because of how amazing she was, but because of how desperate I was. At this point of time, I never had a girlfriend. I never asked a girl out. Heck, I never had an actual friend as a girl. It was really horrible. So I just didn't want to lose Lily, even if that meant losing something else. So me and Lily kind of developed this virtual toxic relationship where she was the uninterested master and I was the desperate slave. Back then, I didn't know better. I was weak. She would insult, I would apologize. She was distant, I was insistent. One time she was upset about something I said, so I told her I would punish myself for her. I told her I would cut myself as punishment for upsetting her, and I was really serious about it. At that time I was at school. I got back to home, focused my mind on the task. I never hurted myself before, never would, but there I am with scars on my left hand that are permanent. So for those who never hurted themselves before, it's really hard to do it the first time, especially when you love yourself. I really did, which is surprising given how sad my life was. So I kept looking at my hand, kept looking at the blade, and put in my head that if I can cut my hand, 1 million kids around the world won't face child abuse and will have the most loving parents there is. And so I proceeded to cut and cut and cut and cut till my hands bled. The pain was nice since I was thinking about positive stuff, and the fact that I was saving people like me out there was just amazing. After I finished punishing myself, I took a photo of my hand and sent it to Lily to show her that I really repent and apologize for my sins. Apparently it worked, but just like any toxic relationship, it eventually crumbles. She started to be less interested. I started to be more physically abusive to myself to the point where I begged her to block me since I couldn't really do it, since I kind of loved her. But it wasn't true love at all, but rather fake desperate love. She was a hot girl and I only got attracted to her physical. That's why. Now, how does this affect me in my family circle? Of course, my dumb family sees the marks on my hand and think they're inflicted because of self-hatred, because I'm mentally ill or depressed. I am not okay, but it's not because I'm sick in the brain, but rather because I'm sick of the environment I'm in. I'm not even sure if I can call it an environment, rather a cage that was made for rats. My parents proceeded to call the neighbors to embarrass me more about my self-harm marks. My siblings called me, quote-unquote, not a man in front of all of them since I hurt myself. Yes, you're not a man in the Middle East if you have mental problems and hurt yourself. That wasn't even my case. So more abuse happened to me because of the scars. Around that time, I also stopped believing in Islam and ultimately God. I just don't think there's a God to such heinous world. Nothing will ever change that. Every fucking day, the people that are supposed to be my favorite thing about life, the people that are supposed to be purified by God since they pray every fucking day, are the same ones who are corrupt, who are hypocrite, who are abusive because they're sick in the head. Apparently, God can cure minds nor purify hearts. So, how did all of this affect my life as a 21-year-old man stuck in Egypt with a bad family? A lot. Since I left school and didn't enter college, I'm forced to do army service, and since they consider me illiterate for not finishing college or school, I'm forced to do 3 years instead of 1 year as army service. And since I'm regarded as the law of the law here in Egypt, they will most likely treat me like shit in the army. Army here in Egypt doesn't have good reputation. So, of course, scared of getting abused even more in the army, I'm hiding, like how one would hide from traumatic events. But unfortunately, hiding doesn't do much, since my ID is about to expire and I will need to finish my army service if I want to renew my ID. And if I can't renew my ID, I'm pretty much cooked. I don't have allies, really, in my circle. I really fear the thought of having a bad life forever and dying in a bad way, but I guess that's the point of the video and that's why I wanted to make it. I want to embrace life, no matter if it's good or bad. Because it's not about how good or bad your life is. It's about how hard you try to make it better. And the fact that you never give up despite the circumstances. I don't care about the results. For me, you're a hero for waking up every day with a smile in your fucking face despite the frowns around your fucking place. Don't you ever forget how strong you are. We all are strong. It's just the doubts that weakens us. I'll put hashtag embrace yourself on this video. If this video somehow managed to go viral, I want every single one of you who is enduring a bad life to share their story and embrace themselves. I want you to treat it like a virtual diary, a diary that other people can look at, including yourself. So that one day when things change and you look back at that video you made where you shared your story when you were at your lowest, you'll always be grateful for never giving up. This is my story. What is yours?